Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. I've been waffling on the baseball situation even more than the players and owners have, but now it looks like those two groups are going to come up with the fact that they're ready to play ball, and they don't want Rob Manfred to mandate when and where the season is going to start. According to numerous reports, Terry Francona and key Indians players have returned to Cleveland, and that's a great sign. It looks like a 60-game schedule that could start July 19th or 20th, and that's about as much as you can expect at this late date. Now that I'm confident there will be a truncated season, let me complain about it with some good news and bad news. The bad news, if you're going to buy tickets, if they'll let you do that, 15 of the games are against Detroit, Kansas City, Minnesota, and the Chicago White Sox. The good news, with an expanded playoff field and those teams, Tribe just about a lock to make it. We've got the D-Man Dennis Manoloff here. More sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Wednesday night. The D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, is here. We are seen exclusively on cleveland.com and also the Plain Dealer. D-Man, good news maybe if you're a baseball fan. Well, it goes both ways. The good news would have been a 162-game season, but looks like these two sides have finally gotten together here.
Well, Les, if both sides reach an agreement and there is, in fact, a baseball season, all of us who love baseball need to thank Paul Hoynes. Yes, our own Paul Hoynes. Several days ago, he wrote, "Why don't Tony Clark and Rob Manfred get together one-on-one, sit down, and hash this thing out?" Well, guess what? Hoynesy wrote it and spoke it into existence because that is exactly what they did yesterday. And that laid the foundation for the optimism that we have right now. I don't think that those two guys bother to get together and then proceed to have a relatively innocuous statement afterwards if they weren't serious. In other words, there wasn't acrimony coming out of that meeting yesterday. That would have been leaked to the media. So I am optimistic, cautiously optimistic. Now, we know the games, Les. 50 games to me is a joke of a season. I've said that many times. 60 is kind of, I can deal with anything over 70. I pray that in the compromise element of these negotiations, that the players can somehow get their wish and it gets to at least 70 games.
D-Man, do you foresee, looking at Cleveland fans as we know them, nobody's going to like this deal, the fact that it's 60, if it is in fact 60 games. However, do you think that when you get into the end of October, let's say, and the Indians are a game or two ahead or behind the Central Division, do you think fans will come out of the woodwork and root for this team and understand that, all right, it's a truncated season, but it's still a potential championship?
Well, I would say definitively yes, Les, if I felt sure that whatever amount of games was going to be played was not a joke. And to me, if you play 50 games, that was going to be the commissioner mandated number. Now we're hearing somewhere in the low to mid 60s. But if you played 50 games, that's less than a third of your regularly scheduled season. That to me is clownish. There's really no point. All that is a glorified sandlot tournament, especially because you're not playing in front of fans, presumably. You get into the 60s, you start getting my attention. Once you get over 70, I guess, I had always said 82, but I'll compromise into the 70s. If you can get enough people to feel like the season has legitimacy and is not a joke, then I think plenty of people will be fired up in the final weeks.
All right. However, a lot of people have fallen for the oldest negotiation trick in the book, and that one is throw a number out there in this particular negotiation. Throw a number out like 50, and then if you Yeah, but then people say, well, all right, and then they get used to that number, and then it winds up being 60. They said, oh, that's a real good deal. But it could have gone the other way where it started at 60 and went up to 70.
Yeah, you hit it, Les. The classic maneuver when it comes to, oh, I don't know, selling cars or whatnot. Yeah, price it really high and then knock it down in a sale
Right.
and say that you're getting a great deal. Um, I get that. You could maybe trick people into thinking that 60 something is legitimate. But I guess in addition to the number, less, what's going to be really important is how the players, the managers, the coaches, the GMs, the owners, how they speak about it once it is agreed upon. If you're hearing, you know, in the back room, this is a joke, this season stinks, we shouldn't be out here, then you're going to get the fans to think that way. But if you get, a pretty much unanimous feel of, hey, let's play baseball and the postseason is going to matter, then I think you can convince the fans the same.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dennis Manoloff is here. You can also email us during the show, and you can do that at reallesslevine@gmail.com. E-Man from 1100 WTAM, you on this week at all?
Yes, I'm on tomorrow night, a night when I hope that we can be celebrating because hopefully the deal will be finalized by then.
All right, somebody who is celebrating is Kevin Love of the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's been named by ESPN as the 2020 Arthur Ashe Award winner. Terrific news for Kevin Love, and the reason he got it, and you can see it all there, it's presented as part of the Espn Awards given to individuals whose contributions transcend sports. Recipients possess strength in the face of adversity, courage in the face of peril, and the willingness to stand up for their beliefs no matter what the cost. And Kevin Love is the winner, the recipient of the 2020, as he dealt with mental health issues all the way. So congratulations to him. He doesn't get to play in the regular season anymore, but very proud of Kevin Love for that award. There's been some talk recently about rivalries in the NFL, D-Man, and when I was growing up, you know what the rivalry was for the Browns? Back, let's say the 50s. You know what the rivalry was?
Colts,
No, New York Giants.
Giants. Okay.
Yeah, New York Giants and the Browns. And then Pittsburgh was a horrible team in those days, 50s into the 60s. They used to come in and get thrashed on a Saturday night in Cleveland. And I don't mean in the bars, I mean on the football field. And but that's changed. There's some people, generations of people both in Cleveland and in Pittsburgh who don't have any idea what the rivalry is. But the rivalry now, that according to Brian Diardo, he thinks the Steelers rivalry is the former Cleveland Browns, and that would be the Baltimore Ravens. So let's take a look at some of the you take a look at CBSSports.com and what they're thinking. And well, it hasn't had much time to blossom, but the Steelers Ravens rivalry is not even 24 years old since the Browns moved there, the greatest division rivalry in all of the NFL. After moving from Cleveland to Baltimore in the 1996 season, the Ravens shortly replaced the Browns as the Steelers' biggest rival within what was then the AFC Central Division. I would think that a lot of people in Pittsburgh don't even know that the Ravens were the Browns at one time. I don't know how you feel about that. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. The Ravens and Steelers, this is since the Ravens became the Ravens. Steelers lead that series 28-24. That sounds like a legitimate rivalry. Browns and Steelers since 1999. Steelers lead that series 35-7-1 and one tie in that. That's not very good. Browns still behind. Even if you go back to the 50s, Browns still way behind the Pittsburgh Steelers in that division. There was a long time, even when the Browns were decent, they couldn't win in Three Rivers Stadium. I think it was 17 in a row, something like that. But now that's the way it stands. Steelers lead the Steelers lead the Ravens 28-24, and the Steelers lead the Browns since '99 35-7-1. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. We'll take a break. We'll come on back and we'll take a look at Chad O'Shea and what he has to say about Odell Beckham and much more concerning the Cleveland Browns. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings Over the past 6 months, people are winning in record numbers, and winning is happening all throughout the state. You can play an Ohio lottery game and play it today. We'll come back in a moment. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Maurice, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Just wondering about, again, about Odell and Jarvis. They're very passionate. They set the bar high. They're two very vocal guys. They want to help the team win. How important is it for you to kind of, sort of make sure that they're happy, that they're getting fed enough? And how much of a challenge is that going to be when you guys, you've got two tight ends, you've got two great running backs, and, it's a run-oriented offense?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And I think that we're very fortunate offensively to have some players at each position that really have a lot of strengths. Obviously, Odell and Jarvis have strengths. And what's most important to me, and I know most important to our team and Coach Stefanski, is that in everything we do, in every decision we make, and those guys know this, is that we're going to try to put the team first, and we're going to try to put winning first. And I think that they realize that. They embrace that. And I think that they're also aware that there's other players at other positions that will help us win games, that are capable to really help us. So, I think that, again, everybody's role is kind of what you make it. And I think that as a coaching staff, I see it as a real good problem to have, where you have a lot of opportunities and a lot of players that can really help us win.
That's Chad O'Shea, who's kind of a new listing as a coach, D-Man, the passing game coordinator.
I've heard of it before, but I'll tell you this, Les. There's no disrespect to Coach O'Shea, but what's he supposed to say? Okay. I mean, at this point, you really don't know how Beckham, Landry, or any of those other skill position guys are going to react until as far as touches go until you see the actual games be played.
Yeah, you would assume the touches turn into production and then eventually turn into wins, but you don't know it. You don't know under a new system. You don't know what the goals of each individual players are concerned. Well, you'd hope it just is whatever I can do to help win a game.
Well, yeah, Lesson. There's always in professional sports that pesky little detail. It's an S with a couple of lines through it. Money, and you know what? Even guys who have gotten paid, for example, a Hooper or even a Beckham with his contract or Landry with his, they're always looking for more somewhere, and I'm not begrudging them that. But when you have money as a constant, even if you try to tell a player, hey, if you catch 2 balls for 30 yards and one of them's a touchdown, we're still going to be fine because we need you more as a decoy in this particular matchup. And as long as we win, don't worry about it. You can talk that all you want, but until the players actually buy in, then it really is meaningless.
Yeah, decoys don't show up in the stat sheet. That's for sure. All right, so Beckham's had a drop in production his last 2 years. Let's take a look at that, and we'll see what we're talking about. First 3 years, he had 43 games and 32 games. Yards per game, 95 and 74. Touchdowns, there you see it. 30 speaks for itself. 35-13. Pro Bowls, 3 in his first 3 and none in his last 3. So that's what you have right now. Jared Dubin of CBS Sports expects a breakout season for Beckham, who has not eclipsed the 1,300 yards in a season since 2016. He says it's clear that Beckham has a ceiling that is much higher than what we've seen over the last 3 years. If he can stay healthy and get something resembling competent quarterback play, he's a clear-cut top 5 wideout. Beckham should benefit from improved quarterback play in 2020, if only because it's difficult to imagine Mayfield being worse than he was a year ago. With new coach Kevin Stefanski presumably installing a system that is far more in line with what the style that Mayfield played during his terrific rookie season, it's not difficult to envision a similar bounce back for Beckham, who's had plenty of time to recover from some situations that bothered him last season. That seems to be the prevailing thought, D-Man, that somehow, some way they're going to wave a magic wand and OBJ is all of a sudden going to return to the previous year's production.
Yeah, and I know, if Beckham were to see that graphic, he would take issue with the first number, the games played, because he'd want last season's 16 pulled out from the total of 32 because he wants to show people, hey, I was, not only did I play all 16 last year, but I played hurt for the vast majority of it. Okay, but I still need an attitude check from Beckham entering this season. I need him to be on board with what the team is doing, what Stefanski wants to do, what O'Shea wants to do, what Van Pelt wants to do. I got to see a team player as opposed to an individual within the team.
Last year at this time, he was trying to say, well, I'd never been traded before, so I got to get used to that and how his life has changed. Okay, that's over with. Let's see if he can now concentrate on playing football and playing for this particular team and coaches that he doesn't know. 216-575-0403, East, West, and South. That's the locations for Northeast Factory Direct. And, of course, you can add to that where you want to go before you even drive to those places. If you want to go to northeastfactorydirect.com. You also have the locations West 140th Street near the airport, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, and, of course, the Freeway Drive. That's the new one, and that's in Macedonia, just off Route 82. We'll come back in a moment. We'll take a look at if the Browns can become the new Patriots. We'll see about that, cap space, and more. Talking about who is the best fit for the Cleveland Browns. They got one more player they might want to add. We'll discover that and discuss that with D-Man Dennis Manoloff. More sports from Les Levine exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate Naturestone's 30-year anniversary with a free Naturestone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Naturestone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Hey, Coach, you had a marvelous run there in New England, and I'm sure you draw on those experiences with the Patriots every day. I'm just wondering what was the secret to you guys getting the team to buy into the collective? I mean, I know it doesn't hurt to have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time kind of leading the charge, but how do you get that group to buy in so you're all head of the same page all the time?
Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate to be there around a lot of great players and coaches, and I thought the one thing looking back that I'm very appreciative for and I have a great deal of respect for is the team concept that was embraced over the years at a number of different positions, regardless of their status. Everyone understood and realized the importance of team and putting the team first. And it's not something that just happens overnight. It's not a magic wand you can wave or it's something that's truly built over time. I'm just extremely excited about Coach Stefanski, somebody I believe very strongly in. And one of the reasons I believe very strongly in him is because of the value that he places on the team concept. And I understand that in every decision he makes, because I know him, he's going to put the team first and he's going to really support the players on this team and have their back. And I think that, that's the start of it, is having a leader that really believes in the team concept. And then from there, everybody follows.
That is Chad O'Shea, who is the passing game coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. Dennis Manoloff with us. Hey, Dennis, when you think about it, a lot of players are new to each other. They haven't played together. They can't wait to get on the field. But you forget the coaching staff is totally new, for the 90% new, and they got to be chomping at the bit too to not just get to their players, but also to show Coach Stefanski what they can do, because he hasn't seen them on the field either, unless he's been in Minnesota.
There's no question, Les. And not only do you have the new staff, but you have the COVID-19 necessitated measures that are, being taken by the league and these virtual meetings and not being able to be in person. Although now, Stefanski's allowed into the office. I assume the other coaches are, but it's a different dynamic, especially with the installs. Even if if the coaches are together, they've got to install with players whom they're not seeing eyeball to eyeball in a lot of cases. So it's a fascinating dynamic in a normal year, but in a year like this, in a season upcoming like this, to have a new coaching staff really does add layers of complexity. But what have we said, Les, all along? It's better to have an Ivy League trio at the top than not in DePodesta and Barry and Stefanski.
Yeah, the other thing is we just we talk to the fans every night, and you sometimes get the feeling that everybody assumes Stefanski's going to be good. Well, we don't know that. We hope 5 years from now we're laughing at some of the things that happened the first year or two, but the reality is right now you're just guessing if he's going to be a top-notch coach or not, especially with the things going against him with this start.
Well, you're right, Les. And all I have to do is take you back to and take the listeners and the viewers back to last year with the Vikings. I mean, it didn't get off to a very good start for the Vikings, and Stefanski was one of the guys getting, the criticism thrown his way. I mean, Cousins, the bazillionaire, the super duper contract, he was scuffling, and there were questions from both Diggs and Thielen about touches, and or at least Thielen. I mean, I thought Diggs was a little upset too, but so, and then there are also those who in Minnesota who maintain to this day that Gary Kubiak was just as, if not more, responsible for the Vikings surge in the second half than Stefanski. So I'm not trying to dog him. I'm simply saying that, Les, remember this. How many teams interviewed Kevin Stefanski to the best of our knowledge?
None.
One. Yeah. Just the Browns. So if he were an incredibly hot commodity, you would think that more than one team would interview him.
I wonder if he tried to get Gary Kubiak to come with him here. Have you ever heard anything about that one way or the other?
Yeah, I never did, but I haven't checked the latest on the paradigm under Mike Zimmer now, but you would think that Kubiak has a prominent role now that Stefanski is gone. So I don't know that Kubiak would want to go. But again, I have not checked the Vikings hierarchy and their coaching staff.
I get the years mixed up, but there was a time that the Browns really did want Kubiak to be the head coach here, but that never happened. One thing the Browns have had for a long time is the leadership spot as far as salary cap is concerned. And you take a look at the top 5 teams salary cap wise. This from overthecap.com. The Browns with $37 million. Then the Redskins 36, Lions at 29, Eagles at 24, and Jets also at 24. And it's interesting, you take those 5 teams there, and the only one that's coming off a winning record would be the Eagles, and that's at 24 million. And everybody else under the cap at this point, I think they've given up on chasing any of the big guys, except maybe the Browns still in the hunt for one or two. Might be, obviously, Jadeveon Clowney is one they're still talking about. Larry Warford is one, and Everson Griffin. And the Browns have the most salary cap space if they want to use it. Ian Rappaport questions if Warford makes more sense for the Browns than Clowney. You hear what he had to say on 92.3 The Fan. He says, I was told that he basically was what he was going to make, so he wants $7 million. Do you want to pay $7 million for a guard who nobody else has signed for $7 million? Is that really what the value is that you want? The other part of it is that it would be half of Clowney's salary. Maybe that knocks you out of signing Jadeveon Clowney. Where would you like your resources? Do you want to spend $7 million for a guard, or do you want to spend double that for Clowney? The more I hear about Clowney, the less I want him. I don't know what you're hearing, D-Man.
Yeah, Les. Before I jump in on that, I just did a quick look at Kubiak's bio. It's been updated through or entering 2020. He is the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator for the Vikings under Zimmer. So it makes sense that he would stay once Stefanski got out. Kubiak is elevated right underneath the head coach.
All right,
regarding Clowney, the longer it goes, the more doubt I have, even though, Bus Cook is involved and he has Garrett and everything else. Another reason I think that it won't happen is because one of the PFF analysts recently on Twitter was talking about how the back 7 is more important to solidify than necessarily the bookend edge rushers. And so you've got Miles. You're going to have to pay him a boatload. You really want to pour all that money into Clowney when PFF is telling you that, the second and third levels are just as important as that first level of defense. So My sense is they're not going to go with Clowney.
All right, let's take a look at what else is out there then. Larry Warford is 28 years old, 7 NFL seasons with the Lions and the Saints. His entire career has been at right guard. He gave up 6 penalties last year, 2 sacks allowed, 970 snaps. Jadeveon Clowney, only 27. That's what surprises me. I just think he's older, but 27 is what he is. 6 years in the league, 3 with the Texans, 3 with the Seahawks, 3-time Pro Bowler, 9.5 sacks given up last year, and 21 total tackles for losses, which is a career high in 2017. Are the Browns willing to add Clowney on a 1-year, $15 million deal? Then there's Everson Griffin, who intrigues me, a defensive end at 6'3", 273. Played all with the Vikings, 10 NFL seasons, only 32 years old, 41 tackles, 11 tackles for losses, 8 sacks, 1 INT in 2019, and a 4-time Pro Bowler. He had a career high in 2017 of 13 sacks and 3 fumbles forced, and he's reportedly looking for about $10 million a year. Number one, if you had to make a pick, number one, you could stay away from it and just leave it as is, or you could pick Warford, Clowney, or Griffin. Given what you know, who would you pick of the 3, or would you just let it stand?
Yeah, I honestly don't know enough about Warford. I've heard of Griffin, of course, and he plays a position that compiles stats, unlike the offensive line. But I guess if I had to pick one, based on the graphic that Brian and Mike put up, the 1-year, $15 million Clowney is the one I would buy in to. And that's why, I don't blame the Browns if that, in fact, is the offer, 1 year at 15. That the Browns did that with several of their free agents. They want, they want the flexibility. They don't want to sign them long term. Those 1-year deals are kind of, good for the team as far as they can get out from under a guy if he's not performing.
And it's good for the player because the player's playing for that one more contract.
Right. I don't blame Clowney for saying no thanks, seeing if he can get a bigger deal elsewhere. Not even so much the guaranteed years, but the guaranteed money. As we know in the NFL, they can cut you at any time, but if you sign a 4-year guaranteed deal, you're getting maybe, $60 million as opposed to a 1-year guaranteed deal getting 15. So I don't blame either party, the Browns or Clowney and his reps. I just wonder, here's, as you said, Les, it does strike you that Clowney is as relatively young as he is, but this would be team number 3 already at his age. So that's got to tell you something that maybe isn't quite lining up.
Yeah.
And also, why hasn't he signed yet? I mean, even if you take the Browns out of the equation, why aren't other teams looking for?
He started asking for 21, and it's gotten down to the 14-15 range at this point. 216-575-0403. Dennis Manoloff. You can hear him tomorrow night on 1100 WTAM. Mike Masetta from Nature Stone is going to join us momentarily. We'll find out what Mike is thinking. And I want you to know about the Tri-C. You can explore your interests, find a program that puts you in a path to a bright future from Tri-C, offering more than 1,000 courses and 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information. E-Man and I return in a moment. More sports and less games seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
You have to say than this, O.J. Simpson and the white Bronco chase. I remember watching, was it Houston was playing the Knicks, I think, in the NBA Finals as that happened. 216-575-0403. Birthdays for today. One of the best nicknames in all of sports. Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch. Now, do you know this name here, Lowell Kaler?
I do not.
Okay, so Ted Moon, who lives in South Carolina, emails us all the time, watches us almost every night. He sends me this and asks me to put the Lowell Kaler's birthday on. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, the Browns had Lowell Kaler in their 1964 championship team, and that's exactly who it is. He is a Browns backer in South Carolina, and I think that's terrific. Number 22 in the Browns 1964 team. Happy birthday, Lowell, and stay well. A.C. Ducey, born in 1947, Davy Concepcion, Joe Charbonneau, Venus Williams, and Amari Cooper. Pretty good day for birthdays today, the 17th of June. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Let's, do we have Michael? We do.
Hey, Les.
Mike, yeah, go ahead. Mike. Well, let me just introduce Mike Macetta from Nature Stone, who's going to join us. It's not a floor, by the way. Wow, it's Nature Stone. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Les. How are you tonight?
I wanted to get that out early. Hey, do you both know? And D-Man, I'll get back to what you said. Do you both know what during the O.J. Simpson chase? Do you know what Manny Ramirez did? Anybody know? So the Indians were playing a home game that night, and Manny Ramirez comes into the locker room, and everybody's watching TV in the locker room, and Manny says, "What's going on? I hear Chad is in trouble." They go, "What?" Yeah, he thought Chad O.J. was in a chase with the police in a white Bronco.
Yeah.
That's Manny.
That doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't surprise anybody. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing well, Les. I'm doing well. Thanks.
D-Man, you had something I interrupted you on. Go ahead.
Well, I'm glad we had Mike Macetta, because I want to ask him if a guy with these credentials was available at age 34, would you take him on the Browns on a one-year deal? 91.5 career sacks, 11 playoff sacks, Super Bowl champ, NFC Defensive Player of the Year, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro.
Put a name on it.
Clay Matthews the third.
What are we waiting for?
What's that?
What are we waiting for?
I mean, as far as I know, he's still out there and he's not retired. I just checked his Twitter account.
No,
and everything's fine there.
He's not what he was, but I'll tell you what a popular. I know you don't want to play to the crowd in something like this, especially if there may not be crowd.
8 sacks last year, Les.
Yeah. It would be one of the most popular. It would undo the Rocky Colavito for Harvey Keene trade, maybe. What do you think? Would you take Clay Matthews, Mike?
Yeah, and not only that, he fills a position of need.
Yeah,
So
linebacker.
He's got the credentials, and oh, by the way, the Browns need a linebacker. So
And you don't have to break.
kinda,
And you don't have to break the bank. I don't think.
no, you can get him on a 1-year deal for sure. I mean, at 34 years old, that's probably exactly what he's looking for.
D-Man, thank you for
so-
bringing that up because I've been on that train for a while and I sort
know.
of left. I got off the train and now I want to get back.
Well, and I knew you had been, Les, and I said I just want to make sure he hasn't signed somewhere since we last talked about him. He's still out there, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, what do you think about? I'm going to call it a tentative agreement to play baseball. I don't know what you've heard and what you haven't, but it sounds like they're finally getting together in a room and shutting the door and bringing some pizza in, and then getting through and coming up with something. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I just want them to play. So I don't really care what the particulars are. They need to get it done. But as far as the negotiations are concerned, I mean, I don't know who's right or who's wrong. I think they're both looking to get a little greedy here. But Rob Manfred, he lost the court of public opinion with the things that he's saying, and these guys, these professional athletes, they have a massive following on these social media networks.
Yeah.
So I don't think Rob Manfred has 1 million followers, but every all-star in professional baseball has more than 1 million followers. So if they want to hurt, or make him look bad and make the MLB look bad, it's pretty easy for them to do that. So they need to get together and figure out what's going on to really save the game right now. And they've got an opportunity to do that now that they're opening and the doors to some conversation, which they should have done a month ago.
I'm going to cash in on my 1/2 day of law school and tell you the answer to this. Who's wrong here? Ready for this? I'm going to use some Latin. A pox on both of their houses. Anybody know? Anybody know what that means? 1/2 day of law school. That's the best I could come up with.
Well,
they're all wrong.
Shakespeare,
They're all wrong. I'll
right?
tell you what they figured out, though. I'll tell you what they figured out. Don't argue out in public. Some of the stuff they're just tossing out, that's just show business. That means nothing. It just makes them both look bad. Now I think they figured it out. They met sort of in secrecy last night.
Yeah, let me jump in before Mike. I want to believe, I don't know if it's true or not, but I want to believe that the only reason that we had this Manfred Clark meeting yesterday, which could potentially lead to a season, is backlash from the fans. And that would be a glorious thing. I mean, to realize, and they may not admit it, they might never admit it, but I think the fan backlash was so severe that these guys said, you know what, we cannot punt on this season. We have to do something.
How could they not have known that? How could they not have known that?
You would think, they would have their finger on the pulse of the fans, but I just think it was so severe this time that there were so many people telling them, if you don't even try to play, then you can kiss our money and our loyalty goodbye. And I think that's what might have led Manfred and Clark to that face-to-face meeting.
You know what offended me more than anything in this whole build-up on the negotiations is the fact that there's either 6, 8, or 10 teams that had no intention of settling on this and actually playing the season. That's worse than tanking games, as far as I'm concerned. That tanking games, that's possibly what baseball was looking at with Pete Rose, although they determined he'd never bet against himself. But that's tanking games like that is one of the worst things you can do in the game of baseball. And I can't believe that there would be billionaires like this who would actually think it would be a good thing to not play this season so they could save a few $1 billion.
Right. Well, they're not saving a few $1 billion. They're saving a few $1 million, which to you and I, that's a ton of money, but to a billionaire, it's not. So they're, in the grand scheme of things, the baseball team that they own is a lot. I don't know if you would say less of a financial burden to them than what their business would be or what their value is. And I'm not trying to count anybody's money.
No,
but
I know
when you're
that.
a billionaire
now,
and your payroll is only 180 million.
Yeah, but first of all, Mike, you're absolutely right about the money aspect from a business standpoint. But now I'm ticked off about it because a baseball team is not like owning Nature Stone as you do,
right,
or owning a drugstore or whatever they own. A baseball team like the Cleveland Indians and any other team you want to mention is a civic piece of business. It is obviously it's a billionaire situation, but you're looking at a baseball team that uses public funds for stadiums.
Exactly.
It uses public funds for a whole lot of stuff. It doesn't pay the total tax to the United States IRS. They get some of that hidden too. So it's not just a regular business, Mike. And I think some of these owners have forgotten what that's all about.
I agree 100%. That's the point I'm trying to make. It wasn't as much money as as they are actually worth. It's a lower amount. But yes, we don't just flip the bill as fans for the tickets and the merchandise and the food. We whenever they need something, they go to the city and or to the to the municipalities and say, hey, counties, can we get some tax money to help with renovations or whatever it might be, and we flip the bill for that as well. So yes, they do have a civic duty to play the season, and they also have a moral responsibility, I think, with what's going on with this pandemic to help with public sentiment and get
the only way
spirits back up.
The only way you could accept the season not existing is if it's because of the pandemic and all that, and that it's not healthy. But any other financial reason is a total turnoff to every fan that is watching this show tonight. Mike, we got to go. How'd your kids, your son, do this weekend in baseball?
Oh man, it was a big tournament. Battle in the 3-3-0. They played teams from Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, all over the place. But I think they finished fourth out of the however many teams there were, 20, 30 teams. So they did real well.
All right, keep it going. Great to talk to you as always. Mike Macetta.
Yeah, you too, guys.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Wow.
There you go. East, West, and South, that's where you're going to find our friends at Northeast Factory Direct, northeastfactorydirect.com. That's where you got to go. Alex has been in business 20 years. He's turned it into one of the great business centers in all of Greater Cleveland. We'll take a break and come on back in a moment. Speaking of Greater Cleveland, Mike and Bernie Sokolowski carrying on the tradition. Sokolowski's University Inn started in 1923. That makes it about over 95 years in business. How about that? You can't say that about too many companies anywhere, let alone in Cleveland. Check them out. Check their website out and see how the opening is going to go. And I'll ask you for supporting that business. They've helped support me for a long, long time. We're going to come back. We'll check out a whole bunch of stuff, including the Facebook question of the day. It's a good one. Dennis Manoloff with this More Sports and Less Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your basement is the go-to part of your home. It's your children's rec room. It's where your family and friends spend time together. It's much more than just a basement. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic Nature Stone basement floor. And every Nature Stone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive mini pearl stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Let's take a look at this date in Les Levine history, June 17th, 1997, 3 years after the O.J. Simpson Bronco. Les had a friend who believed that O.J. would have won that race if he didn't have to stop and turn in the Bronco at the airport used car rental place. Think there's any validity to that, D-Man? You got held up by Hertz? Huh.
It's such a tragedy, Les.
I don't even know why I brought it up. You're absolutely right.
That's all right.
I apologize. No, I'll take that one back. I apologize.
I mean, but Les, I smiled when you referenced what Manny Ramirez said because you were there that day, as was I. I didn't remember the Ramirez anecdote, but you're right about it. I was in the press box, and you were too, when they broke into the NBA Finals game between, I believe it was the Rockets and the Knicks.
Houston and the Knicks.
And you had the whole chase, but it's such a tragedy that it's just hard to even comprehend.
No, you're absolutely right. You try to make jokes of it, and you forget that 2 people died in it, and it's horrible. 216-575-0403. Let's take a look at a How Come Quickie from our staff. I think the staff is me. How come, despite what you may have learned your whole life, baseball may just be a spirit and not a marathon? Or a sprint, rather. Not a spirit. I've been doing this way too long.
I mean, you know what, Les? It is fascinating. If we get mid-60s to 70 game season, which looks like the max would be 70, but it's probably going to settle in the mid-60s. You could argue that there's a little bit of a blend of both because 60-some games is not a sprint, but it's nowhere near a marathon either. So I'm trying to warm to that number, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, but you can argue that maybe lesser games will make more exciting games. I'm not sure about that. I mean, to me, it's 162 games, and you follow it month by month by month. But maybe for the people who say it's too slow, not enough action, maybe this will at least give us a look at what a game like that would look like.
Well, and Les, I want to go back to something you said while Mike was with us about the owners who wanted to punt on this season. They need to be flushed out, okay? We need to know who these owners are who didn't want to play. Because, look, when I've analyzed the 2020 negotiations, I tweeted out and I've spoken on the radio and on your show, Les, that I'm disgusted with both sides, okay? I think both sides have culpability. That said, when you know that a section or a faction of owners does not want to play, then no wonder the players don't trust the owners. And
yeah, exactly.
So, short of taking the player's side on this, I'm certainly disgusted with anybody associated with the game in 2020 who would rather just pack up their bags and not even play.
Mary Kay Cabot will join us tomorrow night. We asked our Facebook question of the day today. Who's your all-time Cleveland Indians sports villain? D-Man, you think about that for a little bit. Michael Galandiak says Art Modell. Gerard Morelli says Art Modell, hands down. David Dinsmore, hands down, it's Art Modell. Pal Joey Frederick, my top 5 sports villains, Art Modell. No one else even comes close. Then you have Doug Edwards. Art Modell, a distant second, is Ted Stepien. Glenn Berger, John Elway, Art Modell, and Michael Jordan. Mark Porman, top 2, Paul Dolan and the Bostonian. Gregory Mees, Frank Lane, Trader Lane, traded away Rocky Colavito for Harvey Keene. Len Gold, Gordon Gunn for merging the NHL Barons with the Minnesota North Stars, and he moved them out of Cleveland. Lenny Obremski, Curry and Green, Golden State. Cavs should be 3-time champs. Elway, Browns should have been a Super Bowl winner at least twice. Ted Moon, here's an obvious choice, but I'm going to go off the board and choose John Elway. This gentleman crushed my heart. And Andy Mees said, aside from Art Modell, I'd say Joe Brinkman for his infamous strike zone that he gave Tom Glavine and the Atlanta Braves in Game 6 of the 1995 World Series. Good choices. Excellent choices. You see us from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and you can also call us on the voicemail of Truth and Reason if you can't get us when we do the show live. Voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650 is the number to call. We'll take a break. We're going to come back one more time. I assume we will have some quickies. You never know. More sports and less Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your home is your most important investment, and your garage is the entrance to your home. It's where your kids come in from school. It's where your family and friends gather together. It's much more than just a garage. Now is the perfect time to add beauty and value to your home with an authentic Naturestone garage floor. And every Naturestone floor comes with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. For a limited time, get our exclusive gray-brown blend stone for as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at Naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Mary Kay Cabot from cleveland.com and The Plain Dealer. She joins us tomorrow from 6 until 7 live on cleveland.com. Dennis Manoloff, of course, joins us on Wednesday nights. And there he is, that shining face. All right, we haven't brought up basketball. Do you care anything about it?
Yes, I do. I mean, the registered contrarian of the NBA, Kyrie Irving, at it again during these conference calls, waxing poetic about all sorts of crazy stuff. But notwithstanding Kyrie, I'm looking forward to the bubble in Orlando. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. And let me say this, Les. You're hearing people say, what about the fact that the coronavirus is still doing its thing and there are states, maybe Florida is going to be running hot with coronavirus still running hot with it when the NBA goes down there. Listen, if you're the NBA or you're any other entity and you control what you can control, I think you should be allowed to do it without worrying about, okay, there's an elevated number of cases around us. I know that sounds a little selfish, but to me, if the NBA can contain what they have to, then they should be allowed to go ahead with it.
Could you imagine their kids, hey kids, let's go to Disney World. We're going to be there for about 74 days. Is that okay with you? Could you imagine that?
Well, the good news, Les, after they do their little training camp, they're going to be so busy with games, I would think. I don't know exactly what the layout is there at Disney or how many gyms they're going to have available, but
right.
They will be so busy and so tired, I don't think they'll have a time to get bored.
Okay, you can use this if you want. Is there the NBA going to Disneyland or Disney World? The new song there is "It's a Tall World After All." You can use it. Just source it. Just source it. You have a final comment for the night?
The final comment for tonight, Les, is when I woke up today, I didn't expect the news about MLB and the potential optimism. I thought today's appearance was going to be another one of those grind on the MLB for failure to have a season, but I am now as optimistic as I've been in a long time that they're going to figure this out.
Don't you feel if it doesn't work out tonight that you're going to be so even more disappointed than you have been?
Oh, no question, because they put a carrot out there again. and this one has, Manfred and Clark not head to head, but face to face attached to it. So you would think if there's ever going to get a deal done, or if a deal's ever going to get done, it would get done when the commissioner, who's the de facto representative of the owners, meets face to face with the Players Association president.
All right, D-Man, have a great show tomorrow night, 1100 WTAM. That'll be from 7 until 10, right?
Yes, sir.
7 until 10, the great Dennis Manoloff. All right, I'll see you tomorrow night. Mary Kay Cabot joins us from 6 until 7 p.m. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.